The Olaf is a very smart ban. These are the two strongest counter picks right now, I would say, in the meta to this Ambessa. So now we find out what this bottom lane is going to look like. Shen to start. Into the Bard, a little bit trickier than a lot of other Shen matchups. Usually see it into engage melee supports like the Camille.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, Shen in general is pretty strong. As now we're going to get some solo lanes here for the side of DPLUS Kia.
Zahin feels very good, very stable into the Ambessa. This is a completely different direction in terms of what the early laning phase is going to look like. See if Shu is confident to play this here. Stakes incredibly high. And a first lock in the Cassiopeia response here with the Anivia. And I think the Zahin works really well with this draft because you have such a frontline with a Xin already. Kled would be very fun. But I don't think it really makes sense here in this draft in particular.
That would be very interesting. I mean, they were not at MSI, but they were watching Broken Blade. It is going to be Anivia, or Aatrox and Anivia. Not untrue. But now the AD carry here for Pays. And it's just Jhin.
Jhin Shen with Ambessa. I've always been a big fan of Jhin Ambessa with any sort of other engage. And in this case, it's the Vi. So, you know, the Shen is also
an important job here for Careers Bard as we do hop onto the Rift for game number 1. Here we go, game number 1 of our Legend group match of the day, T1 versus DK. I'm just excited to see either of these players playing Ezreal. That's kind of what, you know, when it wasn't banned, I was like, ooh, we get to see some Ezreal from one of them. They're both incredible at the pick. Showmaker doing a little bit of fakering, perhaps, where you try to use the egg. At level 1, it can be useful against Cassiopeia. If you do it after level 1, it can be a bit dangerous because Cassiopeia has so much DPS.
He went for Deathfire Touch, so not looking for the bursty electrocute trades we often see with this pick, but just for sustained damage, which makes that type of trading kind of necessary at level 1 into the Cassiopeia, but it's not easy as the Anivia playing around that egg, and now his turret. Shiu here on the top side. A pick he's gone to a few times with mixed results. Profane Hydra Aatrox was pretty crazy back in the day. Around his debut. Bit of a different time we're living in now.
Yeah, I think that was specifically Chronicler's most hated thing to cast.
He sold me on hating it. I hated it very soon after.
The lethality Aatrox, but also you're unkillable and do a bajillion damage. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Aatrox right now. There were so many options he could have gone for. I think the Olaf ban was a really good call because Olaf could have just ran through Jhin, through Shen, even through, you know, Miasma, the Vi, and Olaf is very strong nowadays.
Yeah, it was a good ban from T1, and that's what you gain from being able to grab up your soul lanes early and protect them. It's always a question of almost chicken and egg, like which you'd prefer. Would you rather protect your soul lanes or get counterpick, as DPLUS get counterpick, but in a limited pool of champions, don't have access to the best ones. Showmaker's 2-0 on this Anivia, like I mentioned before, one of his best. Surprised to see Smash at 1-2 on this pick, but it just hasn't been played that much this year until very recently, where it's been taken over, and DPLUS weren't winning every game until recently. Good trade in the lane for T1 just moments ago, as we do have Vi coming over here. A little bit faster than Lucid is here to help.
Oh, that's the root on the career. And yes, he is going to live, he's going to be fine, but take a look at the state of the bot lane right now. Also, Lucid, with that trade, has to leave. And now the pullback on a Doran. Siu just looking for the solo kill. Doran holding on to his flash for a very long time. And it will be enough to barely get him away.
Doran, that heal coming through is so calculated on that. I thought for sure he was going to die to that last auto, but he waits and holds the flash, is able to prevent the next one there. And as a result, Chiu doesn't have the buttons to kill him. We'll have a nice advantage here on the top side of the map now. as he has already TP'd back, and Shiu can look to trade before doing the same if you would like to. This lane here going pretty well for Faker, as you can see.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Cassiopeia, she doesn't lose lane. She's just, okay, I will take over everything. I have Deathfire Touch, and I can be very aggressive, especially if I have a jungler like Vi, and I just get to do whatever I want. So
It's
good
kind
pick in
of
the hands of Faker.
reminiscent of Azir in a lot of ways, like win a lot of lanes, very stable, scale really well, have it engage. Doesn't have the added safety that Azir has, doesn't have a dash, but otherwise, right now in this meta, it kind of feels like it's serving Azir's role in a lot of ways, just with it doing so much. And with the builds that you go on Cassiopeia, you're difficult to punish. You know, it's going to take a flash grab early from the jungler in the early game, as we do have a taunt here from Keria.
Yeah, Career trying to go up against the wall, and it's a fourth shot for first blood. Tons of damage into Career, who had his flash, but, didn't calculate that he had to flash to the alcove to try to get away with the magical journey to avoid the DPS.
Right. Well, that's a big win here for T1. First blood goes over. 2 pays. He has a 700 gold lead already. Smash survives, so we'll still be here to farm a little bit, but watching it back, Keria initially sets this up onto Career. Pays gets this shot, second one, third one, and hits the fourth in Magical Journey. Keria follows to get around here onto Smash, which then forces him back. Luckily for Smash, he does not need to flash here. It could have been even worse for the bottom duo here at DPLUS.
I think we saw it in our first series and also here, just a little bit of underestimating the DPS of the Shen is something that has gotten a bunch of our supports in trouble. Where
Lahin's taught so many.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need items, you just need a little ghost sword, and you're going to be smacking people for a whole lot of damage. Especially on a Bard that I don't even think had the Ruby Crystal, but even if he did, just gets chopped down. Yeah, it's a really nice situation here for T1 because bottom's winning. Mid lane is always going to be winning, especially pre-6. And it looks like even post-6. And top lane's pretty even. So at the end of the day, T1 are winning this early game.
Lucid's coming over for a contest here, but I don't think Smash can get access.
I'm not sure about that. The flash comes in. Nice block here from Careers. Lucid gets in, takes the dragon down, but now he's in a bit of a rough spot. Does live for quite a long time and enables Smash to try to get the kill, but the flash away. And now Smash looking for that kill on a pace. He's not going to get it. And now the curtains open up. Career is flashing away and barely gets out of range. Showmaker, very nice dodge, but the flash over from Faker. Looks for the egg, and he will pick it up, and this will definitely be a kill. Unless he runs out of mana. It's actually kind of close as one auto and one tick, and Faker picks up the kill. T1 are smashing this early game.
So much damage on the Cassiopeia that even if you flash to the turret there, Faker's not under turret while he wails on you. And it's a scrambled egg on top of the pick. And that fight was so close to being like game-winning for DPLUS, right? I mean, they end up getting the steal, and Smash is able to get access to the pit as well. As it's up here for T1 is Keria trying to look for the engage here, and they pull off of the dragon, but in the interim, I mean, Smash gets to get in here, they get the steal, and Lucid lives long enough here. Smash can layer some damage in onto Owner, but Owner gets out, and then Smash, there's just too much DPS here to take him out, and Showmaker can't get over there to help heal for him. Career has to flash, and Showmaker's not happy about it because now he's slowed and also taken out. Faker flashes the stun, and Showmaker gets under turret, but Faker's not in turret range.
Yeah, and it's an easy kill for the Cassiopeia at that point in time. Swifty's picked up by Faker. This is going to be looking to avoid as much damage from the Nvidia as possible by just dodging everything. And yeah, I mean, you got your Cassio ahead. Pays is now 2-0-2, 1,200 gold ahead of Smash. And I mean, DPLUS definitely a lot of confidence to try to go in for that play. They nearly pull it off, but the second that they don't, it's just very risky. You lose so much, and you give so much over to T1.
And honestly, with T1's comp, if they gave up first dragon, it wouldn't even be a big deal.
Yeah.
So the fact that DPLUS end up getting this dragon at such a heavy cost of the fight commitment is just so horrible for them. This early game really couldn't be much worse. Now T1 are looking to fight for grubs here. Lucid going back in again.
They are just fighting for everything as they're throwing everything into the Xin Zhao. Lucid is going to live for quite a while, but eventually does go down. It's now over the wall. Nice gaze there from the side of Faker. Picks up a double kill as now we got a 3-0 Cassiopeia. So much for the best team in the world. They're getting smashed as Faker's 4-0.
I think the streak of games for DPLUS might be at an end with this one. It's a 4,000 gold lead at 9 minutes as FaZe is pushing Smash out of the lane.
He hit the first one. Third one. Fourth shot. Barely going to sail wide.
But he's still pushed away.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small win. The Ezreal survives there. He'll be able to get some of this wave at the end, but... FaZe just walks up and shoots him in the face.
He just flashed fourth shot at him, and Smash just... I don't know what it is. Like, this is T1. You got to respect this team, guys. Like, you can't play like wild animals. I don't know what's going on with DPLUS.
Well, I don't know if there's any way back in this one now, as Lucid will find Carrion. I don't know if he really likes it, because Owner's coming over. He's got a blast cone, though, or does he? No, he does not!
Very nice deny from Keria, but unfortunately that gets him out of range. And now they're pretty deep in the jungle, actually, as Ingo's career looking for the stun. He's not going to get it with the binding, but now the lockdown on a 2. DPLUS Kia looking for the follow-up here. Down 4,000 gold, and it doesn't look like they have the follow-up, with Faker as strong as he is in mid.
DPLUS taking every risk in this game. Ooh. I want a little bit less commitment, but still a high-value potential play there. Taking all the risks, and this time it almost pays off. Not this time, unfortunately. This one wasn't really close at all. As Showmaker just walks up here as Lucid goes in with a Crescent Guard. Walls off Faker, but not really. Faker avoids the stun, and then watch this turn. Showmaker just nothing he can really do. Gets stunned by the Petrifying Gaze. Doran's ult not even necessary there. And now FaZe here sees an opportunity to try to ult Smash out. Because he hits those shots, Smash gets super low. And I was saying, well, he's back. He can't go back to the lane. It's doomed. So yes, he survives, but he can't go back. But Smash, with Lucid coming over, says, yes, I can. FaZe hides, gets Tri-Brush vision, and flashes the wall. So I guess in Smash's defense, it was a pretty sneaky play from FaZe off screen there, but he still dies.
Yeah, I think it's a good read from FaZe. You know, career hasn't been bought all too often, so maybe he says, you know, there's probably not a warden here. Or at least he says, if there isn't a warden here, there's a free kill for me if Smash is going to greed for the wave, which he did. And a nice play from FaZe sets him up for his third kill. And it just feels like all the carries are getting fed on the side of T1. Outside of course, our top laners, who are just kind of Yumi emoting themselves while having their own game of League of Legends. And yeah, DK got the first Drake, but the second one goes to T1, and it's Hextech Soul, which is huge for both sides.
We have seen some pretty big throws across Rise and Legend, but I don't know if there's one big enough for the game state that DPLUS find themselves in here. They're going to try to punish FaZe. He does not have Flash.
Oh, but he can dodge. Utilizes the walk strategy. Nicely done by him. If he gets hit by that with no flash, I think he just dies as he is alone. Meanwhile, in top lane, Faker considering it, but pings do come down as they do know he's there. Do they know about Owner, though? As we're looking for just a straight-up dive underneath the turret, just going to tank it up is Owner. Miasma comes down, ult is there as well. Owner does commit to the flash away, but I think he was always dead with that last shot.
Yeah, Shu had turned his attention to Doran as he knew that shot was in the air. As he does end up dying here. Can they get a desync on the backs? Just barely not. Doran's going to actually commit a TP for safety here, knowing how close those members are. FaZe is 2 levels up.
He's got a Shen with him. He's like, oh, he did.
Very stunned, it looks like, by Showmaker there.
I guess he must have, yeah. Searching for Smash. Third shot, fourth shot is going to hit. And again, you don't have to kill him, but if you get him low enough, maybe you do what you did last time.
Yeah, FaZe doesn't have the flash to make that happen a second time, but effectively, Smash losing a lot of that farm. 30 CS down now, 2 levels down. We'll make it 1 in just a second at the end of that wave. Actually, not quite able to, but effectively, right? I mean, we're looking at a bar of experience in the lead here for FaZe. And this game is so easy to play out now for T1. Like, they have all the control. They're accelerated. As this initially was played really well by Shiu, right? Waits till the last possible second till Doran's used all of his abilities, gets an amazing trade, gets all that lifesteal back, and still has his flash for the defense. Doran takes that extra turret shot too. And when Owner goes through, he just does too much damage. And that last turret shot, he's not able to avoid, tries to flash anyways, as kind of a visceral reaction there, but down he goes. So that's the only good news. That's the only kill for DPLUS in this game. And
yeah,
it's going to take a few more of those.
The Shiu stripe of 180 gold. And now he's looking for Faker, but Faker's actually baiting this in. Career's here too, though, so it does look like Shiu is safe for now. Big group up down on the bottom side of the map. Lucid's here as well. Carrier even going to heal just to try to get out of this one.
I think one of the things that T1 have been so good at across this every variant of this roster, right? Since Daney left the team and they solidified it, is knowing how many members they need to push a side lane and how long it takes for them to get there. So it's really hard to punish this team. This team is known for when behind, Faker gets caught, air quotes, but then you lose the entire enemy team, or the entire enemy team gets wiped because you rotated over faster. The enemy team misunderstood how many members of the map you had and where they were. And so when you're ahead like this as T1, Faker can push hard, FaZe can do what he wants. In fact, might even look for a potential play here onto Showmaker right now with the mid control he had. He doesn't fully commit. But my point with all of this is that how do you find a punish with this draft as DPLUS? You got the long-range Bard ultimate to try to catch somebody, but it's something that buys, like it takes so long to get the follow-up that it gives T1 even more time. They've got a Jhin who's in the mid lane and has mid-prio, can impact either side lane pretty quickly because he's just so long-range with his ultimate. And the Vi just means that she can lock someone down so long in any potential play that DPLUS try to make, and it's really only the Aatrox that's a threat right now. At 4 DPLUS, you're just hoping for a late game Ezreal, maybe some Anivia catches in a team fight, or that T1 get greedy and mess something up.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's likely. Showmaker...
Speaking of getting greedy and messing something up, it looks like it's going to be Showmaker to be the first one to do that. You see that Lucid was going top, and then he went away from top because he's like, yeah, you're dead. Nothing I can do. Even a TP committed to.
So they made this happen, T1, while having control everywhere else at the same time. So there isn't really a cross map. I mean, there's a Shen holding bottom, so that's not ideal. But she wasn't really able to get all that much done here either. Scary is trying to taunt him under turret. Maybe FaZe is caught. No, again!
Man. Oh, even the flash gets responded to. It's still a good trade for Career to get FaZe's flash, but FaZe just feels unkillable. Like, he's just dodging everything. It's so annoying.
He doesn't build Ghostblade for the damage. He builds it as a counter to the Tempered Fate. And now this Dragon is attempted here by DPLUS. Big rotation over from T1. Doran has TP as well. And they're just going to have to bail out of the area.
Career? Yeah, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Already used his magical journey, flashed in mid, and yeah, I mean, he got FaZe's flash, but also he died because of it. So now, first Hextech Drake is going to go over to T1, and they're really running away with this one.
I'm going to go back to two things that CV Max said. Okay, I've got two quotes from two different parts of this passage. We're not just a strong team, we're the best on Earth. But also, there will definitely come a time where we stumble and struggle. And in this first game, I think we have reached that time. Career uses his magical journey early and does not have flash from the additional play he made onto FaZe earlier. So Doran's flank TP catches him, and he goes down. And now not even the Aatrox has a lead here for DPLUS Kia in this one. They're just broke. 2 items for Smash. It feels like it's just so far away. Nice try.
Yeah. I mean, it is. He's almost got his tiers stacked. So, you know, eventually he does get it. But, again, you know, this Cassiopeia could have been a target, but Faker's going to have 2 items completed himself with the Seraphs. And, yeah, I and everybody else is quite strong at the same time.
Smash missed 2 abilities. Pays presses Ghostblade. He's like, if you want to stick around, Smash is going to have to leave, or at least walk away in respect. They do not get the punish here on the Pays either. And Lucid is 0-2-0 in this game. Hasn't been able to patch any of the holes. They're going to have to send Shiu away. Like, Doran has this full turret on lock.
He's even denying minions. I mean, you might as well if you want to play 100% correctly. But it's just funny because
it doesn't feel relevant.
They're already so far ahead.
Yeah.
I suppose in the top lane, Doran isn't like massively ahead, so any bit matters. Speaking of which, he's up a level. He's going for the kill onto Shiu, who does have ult and flash. Doesn't elect to use either of them, as Doran doesn't have any kill pressure.
If you don't kill the turret, also it means that Shiu kind of has to feel like he needs to go over there to get the minions. Then you kill the turret, you start trading with him, and he doesn't like it, and then you lose half his health bar. And it's just, it's a miserable time in a side lane like this because you don't have any control on the map. Like, Shiu could have tried to look for an outplay with his ultimate there, but he's like, I need that. I might need that for an upcoming fight. Any fight that we could take, any opportunity. I want the ult there. I don't want it in this scrap, in this isolated moment against Doran where I can't defend this turret. But it's just these small advantages stacking up after a huge one now for T1 as they're just not making mistakes. They're crossing their T's and dotting their I's across the rift here. Look at the vision top side. They're now setting it up bottom side here, taking the blue buff away. And the only thing left to wait for is Hextech's soul point. And during this whole time, they're chipping away at this mid turret, setting up that vision, not giving DPLUS any way for Lucid to make a flank angle happen. No Showmaker wall angle they didn't expect. No sort of Bard jumping out of a bush and setting up a 2-man into Lucid cutting somebody off with a Crescent Guard. Just imagining these scenarios that aren't going to happen in real life that T1 are already prepped for. Like this control where that's going to spot the exact path of Shiu, and so Doran can just keep pushing forward. It's all these little things.
At this point in time, I mean, if you look at the items, T1 do have a massive lead, but we got 2 items on Lucid. He's going to be going in. They're looking for Pays as Greer ults him and saves him. And here comes the Shen. Carry is just right there to press his R, and it's an easy turnaround for them.
In the imaginary scenario I laid out, it was Tempered Fate, and then the Crescent Guard cuts them off. They did it the other direction, and the Tempered Fate does not, in fact, help them secure the kill there. It gives T1 more time to respond. And now T1 are just going to do Baron practically on spawn. The enemy jungler off the map. It's not a 50-50. It's not a risk. In fact, it's optimal.
He's just going to kill Career too. Gets in the magical journey, actually, so he barely gets away. But yeah, that's Baron at 21 minutes. A little T1 Baron action as now vision and a kill. Pays just not really missing these, although he misses everything else on the smash. And Doran is rotating over to try to catch Shiu, who has his flash. He's just going to back.
Doran doesn't have ult, so he can annoy Shiu, but
yeah,
killing him is probably out of the question. Wow. This has been just a big showcasing of how to take a big win in the early game and extend it into such a massive one. As we'll go back to the attempt here from Lucid. Flashes on to Pays. Looks for the Crescent Guard to push Pays away, but Owner gets pushed away instead. And the taunt comes through. And Career's ultimate really doesn't impact the play. Career then, caught by Doran, gets away until Pays, who's on Baron, is like, I'll drop Baron for this, hold on. Got my sniper rifle out. Blue trinket, goodbye.
Yeah.
Hit smash right afterwards, just to prove a point.
That's something that Career can factor in, by the way. Like, he needs to know that Pays is nearby, that there's a Jhin on the enemy team. He is backing when they still have vision of him, right? Even though the blue trinket came down just to make sure. And it just felt like Career just trying to get a quick back, but it ends up paying the price for it. Level 16 Doran now up against 2, maybe 3, as Career's making his way over. But that is Ambessa trying to dash his way out of the situation as the wall, not great, and he taxis in and taxis out. See you later, says Doran.
He added a few dashes to Ambessa's kill on that one, and he's just going to get out. As meanwhile, T1 are taking the whole base. Herald's going to charge into this bottom inhibitor turret, mid turret down. Faker's going to make quick work of that. Faker is 3 levels up on Showmaker, at least briefly here. Is maybe this time they can punish FaZe? Maybe this time they can punish FaZe?
Well, at least he finally hit him with his Tempered Fate.
They almost got his flash!
Yeah. Faker has flash himself. Is just going to sit here and look to fight, actually, up against 4. Just holding onto his flash, I suppose. And there it goes, as in comes the Shen. And now locked down by everybody. As even Pays trying to shoot down Smash with them in his face. T1 are down members in this fight. Pays goes down, and all of a sudden, a weird wonky one. Stun comes in from Showmaker. That's another shutdown, and a lot of gold is given to DK for free.
Maybe one step forward here for DPLUS that they desperately needed, as we are going to still continue to fight for red buff here.
Yeah, trying to take down the Xin Zhao as the Crescent card comes in, and he's dead. And so Showmaker goes down to his egg. TP comes in, and this is getting weird. At least a couple of kills go back the way of T1.
Can't really come in and fight the way he wanted to. Has his ultimate coming back up, but doesn't have 16. Thorin doesn't have ult, but I just don't think this is a fight you want to extend. So, in the T1 circus, often Faker is the ringleader. And what I mean by that is he sets up these plays where it looks like you caught Faker, but then the rest of the team shows up. He gets the Shen ultimate, he flashes over the wall, they got the double taunt, and the ult's coming out from Pays. Like, this is, frankly, a beautiful way to turn this one around for T1. Unfortunately, they're still down members. Owner's a little bit too far away. Doran is on the top side of the map but isn't here to help out, so they're just a little bit too split. But at least the core of that play was pretty incredible, but ultimately it ends up giving DPLUS a small bit of money back, which is all washed away here as they continue to try to contest for their red buff. Showmaker will lose his life and his passive on the play.
Yeah. You can see what the idea is there with like the TP coming in, and they're trying to essentially bait the last 2 members of T1 into a fight. But the issue is Mbessa and Fai love fighting in a Xin Zhao because they just don't care about his ultimate, and Lucid barely at the very end cast his ult and immediately died. So it didn't even end up mattering. He just got burst down, and after that, they got Showmaker, and one by one the dominoes fell. So whatever step they took forward, they took it back once again after giving up those kills.
DPLUS haven't lost a game like this in a while. You know, where it's just a complete untouchable enemy. You lost the early game, you got outclassed. In this case, it was at a big team fight early on Dragon, and then a second failed team fight where they just gave T1 too much of an advantage. They basically just sent it. They were like, all right, well, we're behind. Let's try to make something happen. Hail Mary fails. And the rest of this game is with them just playing catch-up. Real question I have now is, what does it look like to bounce back from a tough loss for DPLUS? Because we haven't seen too many recently. And I think for DPLUS and for CVMax, you got to just say, look, we took a bad Dragon fight. We were super close to winning it. It didn't work out. But if we had won that fight the way we planned, the game might look totally different. It might be T1 on the back foot for this whole game, and we might be just in complete control. So you got to try to, like, keep all of this part of the game out of your mind, because you're making the best plays you can, but T1 just have way more tools, and they are outplaying you. And you're seeing plays like Pace sniping career that shouldn't happen, Smash getting killed, getting flashed on, some decisions that were made around red buff that are a little bit too greedy because they're just trying to make desperate plays. But I think you got to just delete all of this from your memory after this if you lose it. But for now, the Nexus is still alive. Those inhibitors are still up. We still got League of Legends to play.
I mean, there's a famous quote, I forget who actually said it, but it's like some of the best players or pros in any sport have a really short memory, because it's exactly what you're talking about, right? You just kind of have to forget everything happened and go into game 2 like it's game 1 and essentially just play game by game. And, I mean, DPLUS are definitely better than what we've seen so far today, so I'm sure they know about it too. As now looking for a play, Smash totally isolated on the top side. The ult's late from Career, and he's just magical journeying for himself. This is a total wash in favor of T1, as they might not even go for the Dragon. Maybe they can just end the game.
The DPLUS in this team fight looked like one of those bosses in an old video game that has a big glaring red weak point. They found Smash, and they hit him on his back on that red button, and he died. And DPLUS just fell apart. No setup, no control, nothing in this fight. And Shield will be the last remaining member to try to defend against the onslaught that is T1 here in a 28-minute win. He's going to TP to the turret.
He got a shield, I guess.
I guess so. He's going to try to brawl it out as Aatrox.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. I think the 9,000 gold worth of money that T1 has ahead of him is more than enough. And this game one was kind of over for about 20 minutes, but T1 play it out, and they play it out pretty well. A couple of oopsies in the mid lane, but doesn't really